Tensions cause you to pay attention. Tensions create awareness. Tensions inform. Tensions give us a sense of presence in the moment. We pay attention when we're in attention. And I think when we read this, being left in attention really causes us to pay attention. It causes us to pay attention to what Paul is really saying. It causes us to pay attention to the life that we live and what we really believe as for those of us who call ourselves Christian. It causes us to sit back and say, okay, what am I actually living for? Like, what am I in pursuit of? Like, what am I chasing after? Like, what is my pursuit? Because, man, we can do the church thing. So, like, we can do the church thing, y'all. And I know I got a lot of folks who either grew up in church, who are here, who walked away from church, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. Where you get to a certain point where you're wondering, and this is, I think, the blessing of those who have really walked away. The blessing of those who have walked away is they get to go, hold on a second. And they'd ask themselves this question, right? You know, upon leaving, it's the tension and the question of why am I here? Like, what are we actually doing here? Like, what's the point and the purpose of all this? And it's not a question of whether there's the existence of God. It's not a question of, well, do I believe in God? You can believe in God and still feel like, I don't know what we're doing here. You can believe in God, and that's, fam, not good enough. Believing in God isn't enough to sustain you in this Christian walk. Plenty of folks believe in God. But what does this even mean? What does it mean to live out your faith? Like, what does it mean in this day and age to live out what you believe? Like, what is this all about? And so this tension that we're in really leaves us with, it allows us to rest in that. And I think what Paul is doing here, at least what he's doing for me, or what he did for me, even as I, journeyed through the book of Romans, is I read this and I go, Paul is speaking some really tough stuff here. And some of it is just subtle and some of it is implied, but it's tough. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they may be saved. What? Do you not know who we are? We're the chosen people of God. And your heart's desire is that we may be saved? Fam, you are off on this. Can you imagine walking into a church full of Christians or full of people who grew up in church all their lives, who were baptized in the church, who went to Sunday school, mom and dad took them to church, and man, they were regulars. Oh, they went to all the traditional services, celebrated Easter, had their church clothes on for Easter, but then were there every Sunday. Perfect attendance. You know that person who went to all the Bible studies, went to youth group, did all that. You know that person that attended all the events, all the prayer services. There are those of us who know what that's like and have been there. That person who's still there. And to say to that person who's still there, my prayer for you is that you would be saved. Can you imagine saying that to somebody who grew up in church? Can you imagine saying that to somebody who's been in church all their lives, went to Sunday school, they've got the Bible memorized, they did all the Bible studies, they went to all the services, they even served in the church. Oh my gosh, they were on the worship team, the praise team, the dance team, they did all the church stuff, they know all the church language, they know all the church lingo, they know all the church history, they even went to Bible school. Oh, and they went to all the Bible camps, they went to all the summer camps, they did all of that. And to walk up to them and say, my prayer for you is to be saved. Man, man, that sounds tough. But the reality is there's some folks who grew up in church that still need to be saved. There's some folks who grew up in church who believe that all the things that they did in church somehow credit to their salvation. Somehow by doing those things, they're somehow closer to God. Like they're closer to being saved, that their salvation is through their work and the things that they've done. I pray to God that those folks will be saved, because you're not saved by anything you do, anything you've done, or anything you've grown up on. And Paul opens up with that tension. My prayer is that they would all be saved. Woo, that's tough. That's tough.